Hey everyone, this is Paul Wagner, your Citrix sales engineer extraordinaire. So I'm doing a quarterly update via video so that you can more easily absorb and digest the information that I want to share with you. So we'll start by talking about changes.
How would you feel about making a change?
We fear change.
Then we'll talk about new content, new releases, things like that. And then we'll talk about things that are coming out in the future of Citrix technologies.
In our first category, let's talk about changes that have recently been made.
Alright, so the audio didn't quite come through on this, I'm going to overdub, but the first announcement is that we have an advisory on public cloud capacity. The short and sweet version is that if you have workloads in public clouds like Azure, AWS, or Google, we want to make sure that you keep those virtual machines turned on. Right now there's a contention for resources due to the spike of business continuity requirements, and we want to make sure your resources remain available. So the one caveat to this whole thing is that this notification does not apply to Citrix Cloud. Next up in our changes is a discussion on Storefront. So typically we'll see a major release of Storefront correlating to a major release in Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktop. In the case of Citrix Virtual Apps and Desktops 2003, we can see that Storefront 1912 is the provided version of Storefront in the ISO. We can see that it was released as is with no changes. So, the product management team isn't releasing anything publicly at this time, but it is something to keep your eye on. Next up in our changes is the deprecation of on-prem infrastructure hosting public cloud resources. Starting with CVED 2003 and moving forward, if you have an infrastructure that's on-prem, you will not be able to host public cloud resources.
I was not aware of that.
If you have any on-prem infrastructure that's hosting resources, the recommendation is to stay with CVED 1912 or less, being sure that the version is supported. Despite how taxing it's been on all of us to be stuck in quarantine, I think one of the coolest things Citrix has done in canceling the Synergy conference is that they've made it free online. So it's going to be this multi-day virtual experience. You can tour through all the different sessions, everything will be online and free. So I'll provide this link in the article, and I think it's something really cool that Citrix is doing for people.
That's good. People need to be entertained. They need the distraction.
Let's dive into the new content recently coming out from Citrix.
A really cool article I've seen coming out recently in the Citrix Tech Zone is one that's covering unified communications. So there's a lot of questions and inquiries coming from customers lately about how to optimize these solutions into their environment. So you've got articles that cover Teams and Skype. And Skype's going out soon, they're sunsetting that, but there's also Zoom. Zoom has been really popular lately. So when you click on it and you go into these articles, it's basically a run guide showing all of the requirements and the how-tos. So something really fun to check out if you're trying to implement these into your environment. Released on March 26th, we've got the new CVAD 2003. There's some exciting things in here that I'd like to show you guys, so let's check it out. We've got links that show you how to configure a brand new CVAD site, and then the next link is an upgrade option for your existing CVAD environment. I think these links are key to showing you leading practices and how to deploy CVAD 2003 into your organization, so something cool, definitely worth checking out. Next up on our list is the announcement that Windows Server 2012 R2 is no longer supported for servers running Citrix software. So you've got your controller, studio, director, and the VDAs, for example. We're not supporting Server 2012 servers that are running our Citrix software. The big but is that when you go to this link, we see that you are able to use Server 2012 in other servers like Active Directory, SCCM, SCOM. We're just saying that you can't use the OS 2012 R2 with servers hosting our software since it's now past its primary support lifecycle. Last thing that I'll say about CVAD 2003 is a feature I'm really excited about. It's the dragging and dropping of files between a Citrix session and a local endpoint. Right now, this feature is eval only, but I'm super stoked about it. The idea that being able to drag and drop files in this way is awesome. I'm going to play around with this in a lab. I hope all of you are as well. It sounds like a really cool feature, and I'm hoping that we can all get the word out to our tech friends.
Well, you know how these things start. One guy tells another guy something, and then he tells two friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell their friends, and so on, and so on, and so on.
In this next category, let's talk about the future of Citrix technologies.
With all of the massive changes happening in the world, it's hard not to think of the future of tech without thinking of business continuity. This article that was recently written by Daniel and Mayank is pretty awesome. It covers the technical aspects of deploying business continuity solutions into your environment. So it'll cover remote PC access, Citrix managed desktops. There's a lot of good technical information to help you prepare for the future. So we can see that there's disaster recovery information, there's tech papers. When we look at the design side, we can see that there's design decisions and architectural examples. So a lot of juicy stuff on planning your environment around disasters, and I highly recommend that you read the article.
Delaware. Hi. I'm in Delaware.
So regardless of where you happen to be hunkering down during the quarantine, it's always a good idea to stay up to date on upcoming features in Citrix Tech. So let's take a look at Citrix Workspace Identity. One of the recent identity providers that was added is Okta. Yes, some of our customers have been holding out on going to Citrix Cloud, maybe due to Okta not being available, but now it is. It's a production feature, it's live, and it's ready for prime time. So looking over here at this article for Citrix Cloud and Workspace, we see that SSO with FAS is now in technical preview as of late February. I think this is really cool. Something to test out in a POC or a lab environment. Some of our customers have intense security requirements for their orgs, whether that's self-imposed or because of regulatory requirements in their industry. So here we are looking at it in preview, it's on the roadmap, and it'll be released in the near future. Something brand new that just happened while I was making this video for you is that Citrix added new gateway service POPs around the globe. So we can see that these new POPs, they've been added, let me scroll down here, they've been added in Ohio, Montreal, London, and Sydney. So looking at this, we can see that if you're interested in Citrix Cloud or just the gateway service, but you were thinking that maybe there wasn't an entry point near you, we can see by adding these additional locations, we have a more robust offering across Europe, North America, and in Australia.
All right, everybody, that wraps up this end of first quarter 2020 video. I hope it was informative and interesting to you. If you have any questions about the content, want to see a demo, begin maybe a pilot or a proof of concept, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to talk to you about it. Other than that, have a safe rest of your quarantine, and I hope to see you all soon out in the world. Talk to you later.
Is that right, Mr. Scream? Great, good stuff. I think people are getting really cranked.